I'm kind of that witch. I'm kind of that witch. This is not an innuendo for what the episode is about to be. All right, y'all. Welcome back to I'm Kinda That Witch with me, Shakira Janae Pay, the show where we mix the mystical with the messy, the spiritual with the skeptical. And today, we're mixing the ooh la la with the manifestation, if you know what I mean. Some of the things I have. Can you moan your way to $1 million? Is your vibrator actually a spirit guide? We're talking about the ancient and very horny practice of manifesting through masturbation, also known as sex magic. Yay! Yeah. Let's get to our guest. I'm gonna have to finish chewing this banana real quick, y'all, because I did take a bite. Okay.
Wow, those are great titles.
Thank you. Thank you. So today we have Mimi Davila. Davila. Mimi Davila was born in Sofia, Bulgaria. She is an actress, producer, known for Spider-Man, Chonga Girls, and Leah Moth is also a filmmaker and actor and writer born and raised in LA. Leah works and explores the depths of the human spirit, the vastness of intimacy, and the rites we experience, often from our feminine lens. Yay, let's welcome our guest. The studio audience is clapping. Woo! Yay, thank y'all for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course.
Thank you. I'm about to learn how to moan my way to $1 million.
Yes. So, I guess, Leah, you have expertise in this subject. So I'm going to start off with you and let you take a little bit of the lead.
Yeah.
So masturbating through manifestation through masturbation / sex magic, what should we be doing? What do you know, or what do you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, so I guess I'll start out with like how I came onto this path.
Yeah.
When I was 20, I quickly found my way into the BDSM community in Los Angeles, and it was just like a transformative experience. I knew that I had to pursue this and explore this for my own identity and for my own eroticism. And what was interesting is as I was exploring like pain and, just different like power dynamics, I was astral projecting. Wow. So like as I was getting, flogged or experiencing impact play, something started to shift within my consciousness where I was kind of like entering a different state of consciousness, which I obviously found through studying sex magic is a really common way to achieve different states of consciousness through both pleasure and pain. And so I was just really fascinated by this. As I was exploring my own identity through BDSM, I also was deepening my practice with my spirituality and, just really identify as a witch just because I can create my own definition with that.
Yes.
And then I went to herbalist school, and it was a plant medicine apprenticeship program. And as we were learning about the sacral chakra or healing the womb space, all of that, I, vocalized in class like, oh yeah, another way to heal your sacral is, through sex magic. And so many of these like woo-woo girlies were like, what? Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh, you guys don't know like sex magic? And it was around that time I decided to start the Sex Magic podcast because I just was so blessed to have so many like slutty magical friends. And I was so curious about all the different traditions of sex magic, and I really deep dived into that, and through my own practice exploring being a temple priestess and through BDSM and just through learning all these different paths of magic, just kind of started to really know how to practice sex magic. So
wow.
Yeah, that's my journey with that.
Oh my gosh. I want to clap. That was so beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm very much a novelist in this, and Mimi, any experience?
I have dabbled. I've definitely been very curious about all of those things. I haven't gone. I would say I'm virtually a part of the BDSM community. I'm kidding. That means that I just watch porn. But I am aware of the connection between your shadow self and being able to integrate that more through different sex practices.
Yeah.
But as far as like the astral projecting and being like physically involved in the community, no. but I've been fascinated by it, and definitely something that I'm about to do a short film where it doesn't touch on sex magic, but I'm just very interested in the connection between sexual behaviors and patterns and kinks and psychology.
Yeah. It's
And
really
I do think that they kind of weave in together.
Yeah.
Because I do think like it is alchemy to be able to integrate your shadow, and kind of transform yourself.
Yeah.
So I do think there's a place where they all converge.
Yeah, definitely. I think your psyche is like a huge part of your erotic identity. And, you know, it's interesting, like so often people will like fragment their sexuality, but it's present in like everything you do. It's just not necessarily being consumed as like this is for sex, but like your eroticism is present in your creativity. It's present in how you connect with the earth and the world around you. And, you know, it's interesting too to like recognize like how psychology plays into that, and like archetypes and all of that. So
I think too, in like regards to the mind and body connection that can kind of like heal you. I just did like a Joe Dispenza workshop, and he's a big on like healing the body through your thoughts, and he has a book called like The Placebo Effect, and basically, you know, we all know what the placebo effect is. Like you can heal yourself, and a lot of people, more than 50% of people who take a sugar pill say that they don't have symptoms of whatever sickness they had before. So that just shows you how powerful the mind and body connection is. And especially too, when I think of sex magic and women being in tune with their feminine and being in their body. So, I mean, this is a portal to life, like literally, you know, like we have an altar right under us.
Yeah.
That's our pussy.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, just knowing, like, once I realized that, I was like, maybe I should try this more. And I like specifically did like a couple days of being like intentional about a job and manifesting through masturbating and like being in tune with my body and like just like being present, and I booked the job. So then I was like, this is
Wait, when was this?
This was like 2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then that's when I was like, oh, there is really like magic when you can get here and here connected and into the quantum field of energy that's outside of ourselves that we share with the collective. So
yeah, it's like what you said, the Joe Dispenza thing of like healing the body through the mind. I think sex magic is about like healing the mind through the body.
Yeah.
And like really shifting like our body awareness with a more intentional practice of like spirit.
Yeah.
And then you get to like, I don't know, rewire your minds in a lot of ways.
Yes.
So
I lied. I actually I lied. I just realized this right now. I actually did have a shibari experience.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
And that really taught me about how for my experience was that so many of the boundaries that I wasn't, that I didn't have showed up in that experience. And what it taught me was that if you say yes to something, it has to be hell yes.
Yeah.
And if you say something, it has to be hell no. And I realized how often at the time I had been in the middle with things, you know, people ask me to do something, or when I'm over giving, I'm not really wanting to give, but I'm just giving too much. So
can you unpack shibari experience for folks who don't know what that is?
Oh God.
If you feel comfortable.
We're gonna lay it all out there. This is my coming out party. I'm a freak.
Hey.
What better place than a podcast?
I know. We love it. I brought you on here because of that. I said, she's a freak. I gotta have a freak on this episode with me.
Oh my God. Are you okay?
You okay?
I'm fine.
Are you okay?
Everyone's fine.
She's like, it's hot. I need
It's
to take
hot.
my
I gotta
jacket
take
off.
I'm just nervous because
Yeah.
this is really a coming out party for me right now.
Oh.
Well, do what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
Listen to your yes and your no.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I know, but I just feel like I think part of being, I want to show up more authentically.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is just not being ashamed of
Yeah.
or treating any of this like there's something shameful to it. In fact, I think that that's part of the problem is that people don't, I think it's still taboo. I think that's why like the girlies at the whatever spiritual thing you were at were like, what?
Yeah.
Because it's still seen as something taboo, and really it's like, it's our body and we have this gift, and people use sex as a way to run away from things, and they use it as an addiction, but it's really such a powerful tool to heal ourselves.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
So the Shibari experience. Basically, this, oh my God. Basically, a Shibari experience is when someone ties you up with this sacred, and you could correct me because this was a long time ago and I don't even know if I'm saying everything correctly, but they tie you up with this sacred Japanese rope, red rope.
Yeah, Shibari is the art of Japanese rope bondage.
Okay.
And through that experience, it was just like making sure that I was always that anything that was sensual or sexual was never coming from a place that wasn't fully connected with my entire, like including my heart, my mind, like everything. And I was just always having to breathe and make sure. And I think about that now a lot of times when I hook up with someone, I'm like, I could feel when it's, even if I don't really know the person, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I could feel like when it's moving away from being in the heart and it's just becoming purely lust. And honestly, it's just not as fun.
Yeah.
Like it's not as fun if it's not as fully embodied as possible.
Yeah. Do you guys watch White Lotus?
I was just thinking of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you're soulless.
Because you're soulless.
But I'm not caught up.
Yeah.
Oh,
there's just one
just
little
watch.
nugget. Sorry, that was a little bit of a spoiler, but somebody
Not too much.
says like about sex. Why didn't you have sex with me? And the response was because you're soulless. Like,
and I want to have like an embodied experience, with a soul person.
with a soul person. Yep.
Yeah, it's
said that?
interesting. Well, you just have to watch the episode and find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I've had such a journey with like I was poly for a decade. I was like exclusively poly up until very recently. And after such a long period of time of like exploring with multiple partners and different like relationship dynamics, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this monogamy thing. It actually felt so taboo to allow myself to be like fully myself with one person and be embodied in that. And like, it's interesting how, you know, things that are more normative, once you like don't engage with them, become taboo. And then once you're in them, you're like, oh wow, there's like something to this as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but like having like a soul connection is, I think, actually a key to a specific type of sex magic for sure.
Oh.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just taking it all in. I'm taking it all in. I know. I do feel like sometimes when you are in a certain extreme, one thing, like one way or the other, it can be, because I haven't personally had like a poly relationship or open, but I do feel like when I was like single and like or not in a monogamous relationship like I am now, I had a good amount of like soulless hookups, and then I like started being like, I'm only hooking up with people who make me feel safe and full and like that bringing life, like, because otherwise we're a battery and like it literally takes our energy. Like you have to be very like intentional about that. And also it can be like time consuming once you start getting into too many situationships, which was my like go-to. Yeah. Lord knows all this time. Because I was watching like TikTok, and this woman was just talking about with situationships how the on and off of it keeps you in such a heightened state that you become addicted to that level of like need and that crazed feeling. And that was like kind of the only like love and sexual experiences I was having for a grip of time. And then like to be in like a settled monogamous like relationship, I'm like, okay, this is healthy. Like a healthy, calming situation that's not a situationship is they all, you learn in every state, in every phase, but this has been very like,
there's like medicine in all of those experiences.
Yes.
And I think that like there is this stigma in the like spiritual community that like you have to like protect your erotic energy, and that like hookups are bad and it'll drain your, you know, like your pussy of its magic. And I really do want to like make so clear that that's absolutely not the case.
Yes.
Like you give your power away and you have the intention to keep it even when you're having random hookups, and they can actually be really spiritual and magical and empowering, but you have to be the one to define it that way. And so yeah, I think that you can do sex magic.
I'm so glad you said that, because I do think that is something that kind of haunts my mind in the background. Like that you have to protect, you have to like save it. Or otherwise you're depleting yourself.
I mean, it's such a puritanical society.
It's
we were raised.
culture. We don't like that.
But I will say that I do think that there is a route that could be true, like what you were saying about the situationships. But like, for example, last night, I was like, I'm like, I'm tired of this. I want to hook up with someone. I went out. I found someone.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. He's a painter.
Oh, beautiful.
He had a prosthetic leg. He what else? He was such this like oddball person, and it was nice. It was super loving.
Wow.
And then today I was like, I feel good. I was like, I got what I wanted. I went out, I found it, and it didn't deplete me. Because I know who I am, and I know what I trust myself to be able to have that kind of an experience. So I'm proud of myself.
Proud of you too.
I think like a recurring theme I've been seeing in these shows too, not to bring up TV shows, but is this needing the exterior validation, but once you have that interior validation, you're good. Because even with like I don't want to spoil this whole show, but like imagine walking around and being still upset at somebody from 30 years ago about something that happened to your parent, or people who, like when you're holding on to like a certain thing, and you are blocking if you aren't able to tap into this inside, then like everything outside of you is going to control you. And I think too, like what you basically said is like, I'm good in here. So I reflected that out to the world, and then I received the energy from the type of human that I wanted to attract, and had a beautiful experience.
I mean, I asked him to paint me, and he didn't. So
boo. And that's why you wore this shirt today.
Yep, that is why I wore this shirt
today. Okay. Hopefully he watches this episode. He knows that he needs to draw.
He does.
He's probably painting you right now.
Yeah. Imagine him painting you like before you hooked up with him.
That's what we were supposed to do. He was like, because he left the bar. Yeah. And then he called me and he was like, I want to come back. And I was like, okay. He came back and he's like, I'm going to bring strawberries. So he brought this bag of strawberries.
This is so whimsical.
I know. It was whimsical. It was whimsical. And then I was like, fine, we can go back to my house if you paint me first. And then he didn't paint me. Can I curse?
Yeah, you can curse.
I just bleeped myself. And he didn't
like
paint me. He didn't paint me.
Yes, kids, we can curse. Like a school moderator.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I guess I want to dig into like specifically with astral projecting and or like tapping into that level. Do you set an intention beforehand, or how do you tap in?
So that experience specifically when I was 20, it was not intentional, just because it just like kind of happened in the moment, and it was like a spark of discovery. I had known about astral projection because my mom told me about her own experiences with it when she was like involved in a spiritual community, you know, like the 80s, like new age era, you know. But when I was experiencing it, I think it was really the effect of like physical pain as a portal. And then once I knew I could do that, I did start to incorporate that into my practice with like kink and BDSM, because I was always like an impact play person. I loved just like the physical experience and how that was a way for me to transcend the body and also to integrate the body and like how those can exist at the same time. But I think now where I'm at with sex magic is like it is always like a ritual. It is always intentional. It is always not necessarily always planned out. You know, sometimes like I'll engage in self-pleasure and it'll just kind of like happen in the moment, but then I'll kind of like ride that wave. But I will say like that it took a lot of practice to be able to go to a place where I can improvise. So
what do you mean improvise?
So like, you know, when I was first starting out in my spiritual practice, like I would kind of plan out what my spells would look like, what my rituals would be like. Now I just go to the altar and it just happens.
So you have an altar where you do this?
I have an altar, not where I just do sex magic. I do other kinds of magic. But yes, I have an altar in the bedroom. I work with Venus and a few other goddesses, but mostly it's a devotional to Venus. And I have a bunch of like different like paintings of her and this beautiful mirror and different offerings on my altar for her. And then,
that made me think of in one of the episodes, someone said that they get off to their higher selves. Like they visualize like they're like most like like their higher like a goddess version of them, or really just who they actually are deep in there. So right, was that you? Did you say that?
I don't know which of us said that. It's been so long, but that is like one practice you can do with sex magic. I've also done sex magic with my deities that I work with. So like invoking Venus through my self-pleasure or dedicating my self-pleasure or my magic like with another partner to a goddess. And I've also like had a beautiful experience where I was like making love to someone and they had a goddess like come through them and it was like otherworldly. Like they were like, oh my God, like.
So they like channeled during
and what did that look like? They spoke words?
They were just like, oh my God, like, you know, so-and-so is here.
Yeah.
And they like it was like every part of them changed, but they kept like riding that wave. And it was like the presence of this deity was with us while we were making love. And it was so powerful and so beautiful. And I kind of like, because I've experienced that myself through my own like
Do
sex
we need to have
magic
sex with her?
It's really expensive.
She's like, you can't afford me, but good to know.
But yeah, I mean, like, but anybody can do it. Like anyone has these energies available to them at any time. It's just like being open to receiving. It's being a channel. And I think like when you tune the channel literally like on a television set, you can be more open to receiving like certain downloads. And, you know, I think that like these energies want to connect with us. You just have to be open to it and kind of know like the right way to go about it with like respect. So,
I find too, like I have like played a meditation or like a like affirmations to hear them during, because basically I kind of have to like transically get there and like I wouldn't say that's like a deity, but I did feel like, ooh, okay, I'm tapped in. Okay, I'm feeling good. Like I'm feeling affirmed. I did that even during sex, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna play this woman saying these beautiful things about how you're all the things, and I was like, and he's like, okay, great. Like, I mean, if you talk to your partner and they're, you know, I feel like if you're in a safe relationship, if they're not open to certain things, I'm sure, you know, that's something you can unpack. But something like that for me seemed like, I can't imagine why he'd say no outside of maybe he's distracted by it.
Oh my God, yes, please do some weird witchy stuff with me.
They need to learn. Let me teach you. Let me show you. I mean, for so long, sex in the public eye and for women too was so all about the men. I mean, there's still women, I feel, that don't honestly speak about what's going on with them in the bedroom, that fake orgasms, or are ashamed to say, hey, I did an orgasm. Like that's still happening so much. So in a way, I also feel like this whole realm is a way that women are taking it back and bringing it, not to say that there's no men involved in any of these things, but I do feel like this movement is more about empowering both parties. As opposed to what has been most in the forefront of sexuality, you know, super exploitative, super all about the male gaze, not really seen as something healing.
Yeah.
I just thought about that right now.
Yeah, I think that, you know, for so long, like, sexuality and mostly like women's sexuality has been a commodity. It's been used against women. It's been used to sell to women, used to sell. It's been part of capitalism. It's, you know, it's exploitative, all of these things. Meanwhile, not taking seriously like women's experiences with sexual assault and, you know, women's health care, like all of these things, they all tie together. And I think like where we are now in the culture, and I hope that it like continues to go down this path, is like to center women's experiences and to center women's pleasure and also to, you know, just like understand that that does not take away from a man and it does not take away from like the unity as well. Yeah. So
I actually think too, with what's happening and how we all feel right now with the collective shift, the energy shifts, and basically us realizing like how capitalism doesn't work and like just living in a patriarchal society is like becoming our downfall and not having enough yin and yang and feminine energy is forcing it to like all break down and then rebuild. Alana Glazer said something like on her IG and she was like, you know, the world is shitting itself right now. And you know, but I think of that like childbirth because, you know, you shit yourself, but you're bringing new life into the world. And the only way for us to bring this new life and this change is to go through this shit. And and we all, you know, and bring the balance back because capitalism and patriarchy hurts men just as much as, well, not just as much. That's a whole stretch. But a lot. But it hurts, you know, it's hurting all of us and like feeling like we have to lean into boss girl and hustle culture and like being so out of whack. We have as a collective are feeling what years of this is doing, and it's changing our nervous systems and it's causing peak depression and, you know, and all of the things. So I think it's beautiful that we're becoming more aware and able to like tap into our feminine energy and our sexuality and like, you know, every day more and more of us start to change the culture.
Yeah, and I do think too, like going off of that like women talking about their sexuality and talking about their pleasure for themselves, like it's part of that. Like
that's what I'm doing, mommy.
Let her know.
I'm going through my own existential crisis right here by myself.
No. We're all a part of. But I do think that's also a good conversation in regards to women and like their sexual pleasure by themselves. I feel like for a while, like I've read this book, and it was called Pussy something an acclamation.
Pink Matter?
No, and this.
Oh, that's a Frank Ocean album.
Oh, I love that. But what is it called? Pink Platter?
Pink Matter?
Pink Matter. No.
But sorry, I know there's a book.
There's this book I was reading, and she was just talking about like how so many women have never touched themselves, how so many women like have never looked at their, you know, parts in the mirror, their vulva in the mirror. Like there's so many levels to us like not being tapped into our sexuality, but that's changing slowly. Sometimes I think too of like our older generations, and I don't want to be all in their business, but I'm like, have you ever came? Like, Mom, have you ever came? Have you ever had an orgasm, girly? Because I don't know.
Because it's really it's like I said, it's really just all been about the male gaze.
Yeah.
And
every mom is different. I will
every
say
mom is your mom. You're like my mom is
again new age stuff in the 80s.
Her mom was in a spiritual community in the 80s.
She was in a Buddhist cult too.
Oh my god!
I don't know what they were doing.
It was so funny. My mom told me this story recently. She was like, I was working at a Chinese restaurant and they wanted me to go to this like Buddhist temple and like she eventually like went after they like pushed her super heavy and she ended up like joining this Buddhist cult and it's like a pretty popular one. They chant like Nam-myoho Renge-kyo.
Oh yeah. I went to one of those meetings with a friend.
There you go. It's a cult.
Is it?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was a cult. cult. Well,
Yeah, but
well,
they made her a success story because she had this crazy like manifestation thing happen when she was chanting.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, see, it worked. And then she was like,
Yeah.
actually, this is getting really intense. I got to go.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I'm pro chanting. I'm not
Yes.
pro cult, but I do
Yeah.
breathwork meditation. So I tap into the breath, and
Yeah.
chanting and humming are a way to tap into the breath.
Mhm.
But I didn't realize maybe I was at a cult. I just was like, oh, we're just sitting in a
know,
circle chanting. I'm learning a new thing.
Sometimes cults aren't so bad.
Yeah.
I've been adjacent to a few cults
Yes.
myself. So,
Yeah.
get what you
Period.
need and leave the rest.
Right? I was like, I picked up what I needed. A friend from my like restaurant invited me. He was like, hey, Kira.
Oh, restaurants seem to be the key.
Right?
Huh,
Yeah.
interesting.
That's so fun. I don't know much about the yoni eggs and that whole conversation, but I do have that down here as something to discuss.
Okay. Yeah. I don't really use the yoni egg. I will
Okay.
say I do know some people that really have enjoyed practicing with that. I remember like my co-host Isabella was really interested or into that for a period of time, but I won't speak on her experience. I think that, using crystals, whether it's like the chakrabs or using a yoni egg, like that's just a tool,
Yeah.
but you don't have to have any stuff. You don't have to have anything to do sex magic. Like,
Okay.
so
Love.
your body is the altar, like you said. And,
Yeah.
if you feel like you might gain some benefit from using like a crystal egg, maybe rose quartz is calling to you, like there are ways to go about that. So, yeah.
And and you can't speak for everyone, but do people place it in there?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So you insert the yoni egg, and
Okay.
I will say I do think that it's important if you're not comfortable with like pushing or have like strong pelvic floor muscles to
Yeah.
get the yoni egg that has like a hole for an attachment for a string, so you can pull it out if you need
Yeah.
to, because I do know the way the vagina works is that it will kind of like vacuum up towards your cervix, and then
Yeah.
you have to birth it out.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it's like you're laying an egg, which I mean
Wow.
that could be a really beautiful spell if you're working with like creation magic.
Yeah.
But it's not something I've done. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I guess too, like in regards to creation magic, like do you come up with your spells on your own, or do you have a spell book, or
Can we do a spell?
Right now?
We can do a spell?
Sure, if you want to.
Yeah, I love. Here's the thing: words have power.
Yeah.
And I think of spells in the same way. You can call them spells. You can call them prayers. You can call them whatever you are comfortable with your beliefs is what they'll mean to you. I speak affirmations and mantras over my life often, and I even got into prayer a little bit recently, along with my meditation, because prayer used to be so exclusive to religion for me.
Right.
And now that I'm not, I'm more of a spiritual girly, clearly. We're, here.
Yeah.
But I was like, wait, you can still pray to God,
Yeah,
goddess,
prayer's
source.
beautiful.
It's beautiful. And
Yeah.
also spell setting, though, I'm not as nuanced in. So I would love for us to do a spell if you feel comfortable.
Anything is a spell.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
But I mean, what was the first part of your question? Because I know we just
No, she
covered
asked,
that.
can we do a spell?
Can we do a spell? But
And
before that, we were talking about like
Oh, yeah.
um,
I was talking about like, is there a
coming
spell?
up with spells.
Yeah, especially in
Or a
regards to like the
spell
yoni
book.
and the crystals, and we were talking about those.
I got my first spell book when I was like 8 or 9. I lived across the street from a bookstore, and it was a Romany spell book. And
I
that
love your
was,
mom.
like-
Your mom was like, "Go ahead, girl, live your
do whatever
life."
you want.
Yeah.
No, my mom's
Not my
amazing.
mom.
Not my mom. My first spell book was the Bible.
Same.
It wasn't the greatest
I was
spells
not
for women.
raised in any Christian way.
Wow.
I grew up being raised Jewish, which is a little bit
Yeah.
more like open-minded, I think.
Yeah.
But I did discover like where the occult section in the bookstore was really early. And so I have read a lot of spell books. I every once in a while will turn to them.
Mm-hmm.
For sex magic, one of my favorite books is the Magdalene manuscript. And if you're coming from like a Christian faith background, it's a really interesting one. It's the story of Mary Magdalene, how she was a temple priestess of Isis, and she used sex magic to help Jesus or Yeshua ascend into Christ consciousness.
See, mommy. See, it's all
So
connected.
actually, Mary Magdalene and Yeshua were doing sex magic, and that's like how he was able to, do what he did, become God or whatever,
Reincarnate.
how that works.
Die, reincarnate, live again.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think too, one of my biggest takeaways with the Bible now as an adult and can comprehend in a different way is like we aren't supposed to like just worship Jesus in the way that we're supposed to become like like the whole thing is like the whole it repeats like become like Christ, and not in a like literally know that you have Christ in your whole, or love God's source. You have source energy inside of you just as much. Like you have so much power inside of you.
Yeah.
And it gets so convoluted with like the hatefulness of what the world we're currently living in. But I think if I'm to become like Christ, I'm going to become like a healer, and I'm going to become like a person who believes my thoughts create reality, and I can walk on water.
Yeah.
Because that's like, to me, the takeaways.
Yeah. Totally.
But yeah.
Going back into spells, and I think that like I've led some like sex magic workshops before, and just any magic. I think any spell, any ritual has to begin with intention, and like if you don't have a clear intention, you don't really have a spell. And so just being so focused with clarity on like what it is you seek to attract, what you seek to release, what you seek to embody. And, you know, I'm definitely of the path of like never doing a spell on anyone because it's about consent. And so if someone does not consent to having any magic done to them, you know, but you can do a love spell and just call in the energy of love. And that's like more powerful, I think, than trying to do a love spell on someone. But having a really clear intention and then coupling it with symbolic action.
Yeah.
And so for me, something I've learned, like studying different paths of magic and, you know, different spell books, is that if you have a specific action that you do that is symbolic of your intention, such as if you want to, you know, attract more passion in your life, why wouldn't you do a spell using fire? Why not use a candle? Because a candle is symbolic of passion, because fire is something that, you know, you could say is very passionate, right? Like we've seen how fire reacts. If you're looking to do healing, you can do a spell with water. And so this is how I think you can start creating your own spells, even with sex magic, is like thinking about what your intention is and then thinking about what would be a symbolic action to express that intention, and then to couple it with like verbal affirmation. And that's really simple too. It's like you have to speak it out loud. And cast that prayer into the universe and letting your voice be heard. And that's really powerful. And you know, going back to symbolic action, that could be, you know, where you take your sex magic into practice. So, yeah.
Wow, okay. Have you guys ever been like affirmed during sex, like by your partner, like with words? About like,
yes,
you have. Oh wow, how was that? Mimi?
Words like what? Like shut up, you little slut.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think I've been affirmed maybe with those words too. Like in like a built up like a goddess, you're a goddess, and like you're so beautiful. I don't know.
No.
all the time.
I guess I should be able to use all the time.
All the time.
I'm telling you, we gotta.
I know we
gotta do it with
her. Go ahead, open your wallet. You got it. You got it, girl.
Try to check.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I saw a video of a woman talking about like how her partner was like, "You're so beautiful. You are so safe. You are so protected." All this like while they're having sex. Well, beautiful. Yeah, I feel like words usually come out, but like real intentional. Affirmations. You're such a dirty little slut. I want to fucking.
You need both.
You need a little bit of both.
Yeah, my beloved is very poetic, and he's also a writer. So we both are great at expressing how we feel about each other.
Wow.
And so good affirmations, and then also, you know, dirty little slut kind of behaviors is good.
A little balance is key.
I am a dirty little slut. I am a dirty little slut.
This is your new affirmation.
Speak it into being.
Yes. I have a random like the do's and don'ts of manifesting through masturbation, and also I'm just gonna say them what I wrote down, and then we can talk if it makes sense. Focus on what you want peaking. So yeah, like intentions.
While you're in climax.
While you're in climax.
Yeah, that is a key. That is absolutely key.
I agree.
To like visualize like that intention while you're at the height of orgasm. And also too, like, I don't know if you guys have ever worked with sigils.
No, what is that?
A sigil is a symbol of your intention, and you can create a sigil. It's kind of like a whatever you want it to be, but oftentimes like in magic, you'll take all of the first letters of the word of your intention. So like, I want to create healing. So then it'd be IWCH.
Okay.
And then you would like draw it out to kind of like integrate all of those letters into a symbol, and that becomes a sigil.
Whoa.
Or you can create your sigil based off of like different astrology symbols. So if you're working with Venus, you can have like the Venus symbol integrated with some other elements. And so literally whatever you want, but you charge that sigil with your intention.
Wow.
And I've painted my sigil on my body while having sex, or I'll use this is a little extreme. I've used period blood while having engaging in sex magic and like paint the other person's body, or you can use their erotic fluids to create your sigil on either one of your bodies.
Cool.
And that's like supercharging your spell.
So a sigil is basically an object.
It's just a symbol. It's a drawn symbol.
Oh, a drawn. So it's a drawing. Okay.
Yeah. So you can write out your sigil. You can carve it into a candle and burn it. You can put it on a piece of paper, burn that in the fire. You could let it dissolve in water.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can do anything with a sigil.
Let it blow in the wind. We can use earth, air, fire, and what's the other element I'm missing? Water. Yeah. I will say the peak during climax is important. And I've also, there are times where I've watched porn and then been like, okay, now time to tap out and focus. Turn it off and then put on.
So interesting.
Something more affirming in words than that kind of aligned with what I was trying to bring in.
Okay. I like that.
Duality.
To me, I feel like they're separate, which I'm not saying is a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm like...
You haven't tried them together?
No, because I feel like... and maybe I'm curious what you have to say about this, but I'm like, it's either I'm going to do the spiritual love or I'm going to be like, do porn. You know what I mean? And I don't feel like they blend.
Okay. Have you met the dark goddess?
Ooh. Callie?
Yeah.
There's many dark goddesses. Many. There's Kali. I work with Lilith.
Oh yeah.
And that's special, especially because I come from like a Jewish background.
I know Lilith too.
Yeah. So Lilith, Persephone is a dark goddess. Hecate is the dark goddess. Babylon is the red goddess. She's a very like powerful like sex magic symbol, especially in like Western occultism. And I think the path of the dark goddess integrates a lot of these like darker aspects of self. You said earlier, like shadow elements. It's like your most like base, primal, kind of like foul, dirty, like all of these things dirty, right? Yeah. And I think too, like something to remember with our sexuality is there is no light or dark. There is no binary. There is just pleasure. Yeah. There is just feeling. There is sensation. Yeah. And we, as humans, are the ones who have placed value on experiences. And so we're also the ones who can define what those experiences mean to us. So watching something that's like really fucked up and rough is not necessarily not spiritual. I think actually it's incredibly spiritual because it is integrating all parts of the human experience.
Yeah, I think also it depends on what video it is, because sometimes I feel like the woman is, it's about sensing how much I think the woman is actually truly wanting to do this. Or she's doing it out of a place. And I don't know. I'm imagining, because I'm just going off of what I'm sensing, like, oh, this girl is living in a third world country and she feels like this is her only way out vibes. Or this person is...
Yeah, that's different.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think the videos have different energies coming out of them.
Yeah.
If you guys have not watched A Four-Chambered Heart, the company's Four Chambers.
Oh, I've heard of them.
They make the most incredible porn. I don't even know how they do it. The production quality is incredible. The the videos all are coupled with essays based on exploring like the themes present in the videos. I'm such a fan of I think her name is Vex, who created this project. And they even have like videos that are kind of like witchy. Like there's one called A Rite of Spring. And it's this like hedonistic, like pagan orgy in the woods. So, you know, if you're interested in exploring like more independently produced adult content, like that's absolutely one of my favorite companies. So
And chamber
it's 4 chambers.
4 chambers.
Yeah, but the website's a 4-chamber.
Copy that.
Yes.
Okay, 4 chambers. Yeah, I can't. I do feel like sometimes I'm like, is this a you know, like is girly enjoying this as well? Like, you know, and especially too if you like more you know, BDSM style porn or in real life, you're like, I want to make sure like these adults are all consenting.
Yeah, because it's kind of like the same thing as some guys are actually just assholes.
Yeah.
And some guys are true, or some men / women / non-binary / some entity, some human form.
Okay, Rihanna. Okay, Rihanna. My clothes are built for they, them, all non-binary.
Some human forms are just assholes, and some human forms are truly like, I'm a dom, you know?
Yeah.
And that happens in real life, and that happens in porn.
Yeah. And I do think too, like one of the reasons I switch is because like I said earlier, like this is a portal for life. But when you think of like how powerful an orgasm is and like, and how powerful like sex is and that if you can bring a whole life into this world, you can bring a whole dream into whatever, you can birth anything through connecting to it. So like if you do feel like it would birth something that's not what you want, then I would say
think that me separating it like that is still just a part of me that's severed.
Yeah. Okay, Severance. But
I haven't seen that show.
Oh,
I need to watch it.
I mean, that's literally what it is. It shows you the human experience in like a bleak of like.
Yeah, I think it's about the shadow self, or like the inner child.
Yep.
The parts of ourselves that we completely are unconscious, that we completely cut off.
It starts off, they like put a needle in their head to sever their brain while they're at work so they can't think of their at-home life. And like you learn that like one person's wife died and he couldn't like manage the grief. So he severed his brain so that at work he could only focus on work and working for the man.
So sad.
I know. It's so sad.
So
it's
hits
definitely
hard.
like
you don't want to tap in.
Reflective of our culture though.
Yeah.
Like lots of people live in that kind of way.
Severed like
maybe
half
not
off.
That extreme, but
yeah. But people would do it. Like when I watch it, I was like, the saddest part about the show is I know some people would like cut into their brain and be like, I'm fully turned off from my human experience. Yeah. And I'm just at work doing work, like working for the man. And literally they're doing nothing on these fucking computers.
Yeah. I think that desensitization is a huge challenge for our culture. And I actually think that like eroticism is like a key to unlocking like the path out of that.
Yeah.
And I studied Tantra a lot over the past few years. And, you know, Tantra, one of the main teachings of Tantra is that like there's pleasure in every moment.
Yeah.
The challenging moments, the painful moments, the most boring moments. Like you can find pleasure in everything. And
Sorry, I recently read this book called Existential Kink by Carolyn Lovewell.
Oh,
you read it?
She was on our podcast, the S8x Magic podcast.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I would love to meet her. But that's the whole teaching is that everything that everything you think, the things you don't want in your life that are in your life, some parts of you does want that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And your ego is like, no, and it's separating itself. It's like, no, that's bad. Like, I don't like that. I'm not bringing in as much money as I want to every month. But your shadow self gets off on it.
Yeah.
It likes that. And that's why it's so the mantra is as within, so without.
Yeah.
As above, so below. As within, so without.
Yeah. So like anything that's going on in you is reflected in your world.
Yeah. I mean, that's so true to the idea that our subconscious mind is 95%. but we stay in our conscious mind, that 5%. And then in that conscious mind, that conscious brain is like, oh yeah, of course I want $1 million. And of course I want this safe thing and I want these things. But in our subconscious, there's so many things like the shadow work you haven't unpacked. And once you learn to, I think that's one thing that's beautiful with sex, magic, and pleasure, is because you're in your subconscious and you're in this like more liberated place where you can, because I just did the Joe Dispenza thing, I've been like meditating for 40 minutes a day and trying to use that, that energy, that when I'm no person, no place, no thing, that subconscious where all these limiting beliefs exist in my own brain. And like where I say I'm like on the one end, I'm like, I'm a bad bitch, in the back of my, in there deeply, there will be moments of doubt or you know, just this human experience where I'm like, damn, it's fucked, damn this, all these things that I'm not addressing. So I like calm it and then try to like talk to that subconscious and like the theta brainwave element of when you meditate. That's where you kind of go from beta to alpha to theta to delta to gamma. And gamma is when you're like high off of it all. And that's also what happens with pleasure.
Okay, neuroscience.
Oh, it's so fresh in my brain right now because I've been like learning and trying to shift my own self and like, you know, do the stuff. So
entering
it's there.
states of shifted consciousness is something we learned about when I did the plant medicine apprenticeship program too. And it's like, it's such a powerful tool for magic, whether you're doing sex magic or not.
Yeah. Plant medicine wise, what?
Yeah.
All of?
Oh, I have to plug.
Yeah.
By the way, I just last week I released a bath deck.
Ooh.
So it's published with Chronicle, but you can buy it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. And yeah, it's like 50 different ways to take a bath. And last year I wrote the botanical deck. So that one is like 70 different plants for medicinal and magical benefits. So if you're interested in that.
A bath deck? Like a card deck, a tarot card deck?
So you can like pull cards.
I love baths.
Learn about different kinds of baths,
Wow.
which, you know, it's interesting too. Like you can absolutely do sex magic in a bath as well. And it doesn't even have to be like physical sex.
Yeah.
I think like you can kind of like set an intention to have like, I want to have a deep connection with my erotic self, and like drawing a bath that is literally like going into the womb and going into like creation and going into eroticism. So yeah, you can use a bath as a tool for magic as well. So yeah.
And a shower.
And a shower if you don't have a bathtub, you can adapt it 100%.
Okay,
or do a foot soak.
Ooh, okay.
For grounding, it's very good.
Okay, and what was the name of the decks again?
It's the luxurious bath deck and then the botanical deck. So
I get the bath
we will have to try it out.
I love taking baths. Yeah. I take baths almost every other day.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah. But when I finished herbalist school, I really focused on aphrodisiacs and understanding how aphrodisiacs work and what their intention is.
Yeah.
I think they get a really bad rep for just being like, oh, it's going to turn you on. And it's like,
nobody, me.
Hey, guess what? Like, I mean, turn yourself on if you want to, queen.
This isn't an aphrodisiac, though. This was just a fun little play.
But there are certain plants that do have aphrodisiac effects, and like learning that it's a tool for, you know, entering a deeper connection with your physical self and increasing circulation and soothing the nervous system, like all of those things, like they're available to us and they're pretty accessible too.
What are like your top 3 recommendations?
I mean, the one that everyone knows that is just so beautiful is rose. Oh my gosh, the rose is such a beautiful teacher.
Yeah.
It teaches us how to bloom while also having boundaries, like with thorns.
Yeah.
And then incorporating rose is really simple, I think, just because it's pretty like readily available.
Yeah.
You can sprinkle some rose petals in your bath and set an intention to come into like deeper love for yourself.
Yeah.
You can have rose in your tea. I like to make like a rose infused like almond milk or a different kind of milk and add a little honey, and it's like so sweet and nourishing. Or taking a rose and using it to touch your body, like having like soft petals just kind of like grazing over your skin, awakening to sensation is another tool for shifting into different states of consciousness. And so I think like blending that aphrodisiac with physical touch is so beautiful. But I also love Damiana. It's a really powerful aphrodisiac that's really delicious. And then passion flowers.
Wait, this is a fruit? What is this?
Damiana is it's a plant. It grows like kind of as like a bush, but it has like little yellow flowers. But you drink the leaves, and you can brew it as a tea. You can infuse it into something else, and but then passion flower is another great tea that you can drink. And if you look at how a passion flower blooms, they're like wild looking. They're so crazy. They're so weird. And for me, I think passion flower is a teacher of just like letting your freak flag fly.
Yeah.
They're so embodied in their own weirdness that I think that like if you use that for a tool to connect to that part of yourself and like just let yourself be unique and
I love
like,
that.
erotic and strange, like
We love it.
Yeah.
So we are getting close to the end of our episode, unfortunately, y'all. I'm gonna do a few little, I mean, I guess I like, because I put these down here, I'll just give you guys some affirmations. So sexual liberation, I am divine pleasure in human form. Every part of me is worthy of love, worship, and ecstasy. My body is a sacred temple, and I honor it with pleasure. I'm a dirty little slut. That one's for you, baby.
Thank you.
And then as I receive pleasure, I receive wealth, love, and success effortlessly. Every moan, every breath, every orgasm brings me closer to my desires.
Ooh.
Yes. And the list goes on.
I like it.
Yes. Now, at the end of every episode, I usually do like a little breath work thing since I'm a breath work practitioner.
Oh my gosh.
So if you guys are down, we'll just do 1 minute of conscious connected breathing.
Okay.
I do different breaths every time, but do we have a preference? Do we want something more relaxing or something more intense or something just in the middle?
I think relaxing.
Or do we want to feel a little?
Yeah, relaxing's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just do some deep breaths. Okay. Deep breaths just help you get into your body. So I'll do a count of 1, 2, 3, 5. Inhale, hold at the top, release. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Everybody. Ready? Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it. Release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it for a moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's do one more round. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold the breath. Hold it, hold it, hold it. And release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yay!
So nice.
Thank
Thank
you guys.
you.
Yes. I do normally like long breath work sessions, and I do a 3-part breath, but like it takes a while to like really tap into that. But the thing with breath work and even with sex play, it's like it's so powerful. And the breath is so powerful, and yet people don't know. We naturally oxygenate, like right now, maybe 30% at the most. And when you do an intentional breath work session, you get about 70% more oxygen in.
Wow.
Yeah, which
That's
gets
so
the blood
cool.
flowing in all the ways.
Yeah.
And the last thing what you got?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Does your mom listen to this podcast?
No.
Does she not know it exists?
She does.
But she doesn't listen to it?
I don't think she does. I would be really surprised if she did. My mom is very Christian.
Nice.
But she knows what you're doing.
If she did, I feel like she would have called me out because I've talked about her before, and she's never said like, I heard that episode, girly. She is very nosy though.
Maybe this one.
I know, I was about to say, she's very nosy, so there is a chance that she turned it on. But then probably as soon as I started talking about ghost, she'd be like, no, not demons. Immediately.
But she knows, so she knows you're doing it. She's just choosing not to listen to it. Interesting.
Yeah. We've like, I feel like I created boundaries now as an adult. But
Great.
yeah.
That's nice.
Thank you guys for
thank
listening. This is the show where Mercury is always retrograde.
Woo!
Woo! Feel free to, if y'all want to say it to your camera, you can. If you don't, you
Where
don't.
Mercury is always retrograde?
Yeah, this is the show where Mercury is always retrograde.
This is the show where Mercury is always retrograde. I don't
Hell
know
yeah.
what that means, but it sounds good.
It's just a little chaos. It's not really, actually we're,
okay.
yeah. It just means there's a little chaos.
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.